So Justin, thank you so much for taking time to meet with me and just so I can share a little bit about what I'm going to be doing with the ministry. And so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So
I'm excited.
So have you ever heard of Crew, Cambridge State for Christ, or Crew?
I have because I've known you for a while, but
Okay.
Before knowing you, no.
Okay, I gotcha. Honesty, I appreciate it. Okay, but so if you don't mind, like this is what we call the VACA. It's just a vision and calling album, and just really good to give you a visual of what we do with the ministry. Is that okay if I take a few minutes to go through this? Okay. And so, like I told you, like I'll be working with Athletes in Action, and so we happen to be the athletic branch of Crew, and so and I'll be working in the football department. And I really like how there's two football guys that sort of started out, so it's good for me. And so, so this is Bill and Vanette Bright. Bill and Vanette Bright, this is our past. So they're a couple. Like Bill actually started this ministry. Like he said, he had a vision for reaching the world for Christ, and he was a multi-millionaire, and he sold everything he had. A chocolate factory, actually, a chocolate factory to start the ministry. It started in 1951 at UCLA's campus. Him and his wife. And what started on that campus at UCLA now is reaching the lives of people all around the world, in different segments around the world too. And so, like, these are all the ministries that are here, a part of Cambridge State for Christ or Crew. And so, like, they happen to be the overall ministry, and these are just like different branches. And so, like, we happen to be the athletic branch, so Athletes in Action. And then, do any of these ministries, like, have you ever seen any of these before?
Seen Josh McDowell ministry.
That's a pretty big one. Yeah, that's a really big one. I'm not even really sure exactly what they do, but
Other than that, no.
Jesus Film's a really big one. Actually, there's a picture here. Jesus Film. They are 2 languages away from every language in the world, over 100,000 per person people group. And so it's over 1,100, I think, languages. And they want to share the gospel in a heart language to someone, like in a tribe or somewhere in the jungle that may never have heard the gospel. So I was told they have over 200 million people have came to Christ through that ministry. So a lot of people. And so a little bit about Crew. It's formerly known as Cambridge State for Christ, like I've been mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
We're not necessarily just reaching the campuses anymore. Like I said, like I showed here, we're reaching all segments and corners of the world. So we're a caring community passionate about connecting people to Jesus Christ, and we have an objective of reaching every person in the world and for them to have the opportunity to hear the gospel. And so, what's up, Marley? You can be in the video too. And so, with Athletes in Action, like the ministry I'll be in, I want to ask you, like, so if you look on ESPN, like we were watching last night, and you see like an athlete being interviewed, what is your first perception of the athlete? Like, what is your immediate common perception of the athlete?
On the spot question. I don't know. Everyone's different. I mean, I really don't have a good solid answer to that.
Yeah. What about like if you were if you had kids, you got married to Julia, and then Julia, you guys have kids.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of athletes would you want your kids to be looking up to if they were playing sports?
The Christian ones.
Like
Tim Tebow, right? Yeah, Tim Tebow. The ones that Tim Tebow before when he was in the NFL, but the ones that lead a good example in and out of, or on and off the field, I should say. More like sit down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you've been Tim Tebow quite a bit for Halloween, haven't you?
Yeah, just once, but yeah. Yep.
You're just doing it on a daily basis. So there's a tremendous competition for the minds and hearts of athletes, whether they're college or professional athletes. They have a huge influence to reach people for the world today. Like we talk about like influence, like platform, like a lot of athletes being on ESPN or being in the newspapers,
mm-hmm.
They have like this platform to reach out to kids, even reach out to adults, and through their model and display, because in our world today, especially like last night, the whole stadium was packed. We were watching the BYU game.
Mm-hmm.
The whole stadium was packed with tons of people. People flock to sports. And so athletes have a huge influence. You know Tom Brady?
Yeah.
So he was actually interviewed by 60 Minutes a few years ago, and they asked him the question. They said, Tom, you have 3 Super Bowl rings. You've reached the pinnacle of your sport. MVPs. You have more money than anyone can ask for. You have a supermodel wife, and you have a mansion of a home. You've really literally reached everything. By like mid-30s. Like what's next? Like you've already done everything. What's next? And this is what he had to answer. You mind reading that?
Yeah. Why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings and still think there is something greater out there for me? I think God. There has got to be more than this. I wish I knew. I wish I knew. Tom Brady, NFL player.
So it's like
It's true.
So yeah, Tom Brady, who has literally everything. He feels like there's an emptiness.
Yeah, but look at the one comedian that just died, Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had everything, and he wasn't happy. So I mean, just because you have everything doesn't mean anything sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like what I felt like when I was at Marshall too. It's like my first freshman year. It's like, looking back at it, I was wanting to come as a walk-on because like how his state of West Virginia, we don't have very many scholarship football players, and so I got a walk-on offer to play D1 ball. It's like, okay, I want to go. I want to play my first year. I want to be on ESPN. I want to be in the newspaper. I want to go back home and like get a pat on the back from the hometown. Like that kind of thing. And that's what I was looking for. And my freshman year, I actually got that, and I got to play my freshman year. I got to play against WVU, and it was a really big deal. But even going through that, I realized that I didn't get my satisfaction or fulfillment from it, and I was still looking for more. And it was my January of my freshman year that I actually surrendered my life to Christ, or I went to an Athletes in Action retreat, and that's where I started feeling satisfaction and fulfillment through Christ. And there would be times where I would stray away, but still, ultimately, Jesus was fulfilling. And so, it's like a lot of my teammates are feeling the same way. That there's emptiness. It's like they're always searching for something outside of football. It's like if it's not football, then they're going to go down and they're going to drink, or they're going to find fulfillment in relationships, or something. And even here, the national study says that college athletes have a higher rating of drinking than a normal student. And I can see that too, just because whenever there's not football or their sport, they're down there and just over.
I see it on campus all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's overdoing it.
Or back when I was in college, I did.
So Buck Guy, this is the time I like to sort of share my calling testimony, where I felt like God was leading me to ministry, and I was going to be a chiropractor, planning to be a chiropractor and stuff, and you were actually my roommate.
I was.
Going down. And so
back in the day, I was planning on being a lawyer back in the day. So
yeah,
things change, don't they?
Things do change. It's sort of cool how we can look back and see how it does that. I told you freshman year, that's whenever I went to AI, went to retreat, came to Christ, surrendered my life to Christ. It was a learning process all the way through, and living with me. But my senior year, I remember the beginning of the season, a media day. They were like, "Okay, Tyler, what is your plans? What are you going to do after school?" And I said, "I'm going to be a chiropractor. I got accepted to chiropractic school down in Florida, and that's where I'm going to go." And then I went through my senior football season, and then we went to the St. Petersburg Bowl in Florida, and we won. And I remember just being asked the same exact question after the game. He said, "What are you going to do now?" And I said, "Well, I feel like God has been leading me to ministry with Athletes in Action." And so, during the season, God was doing work on my heart, pushing me in that direction, because I was planning that spring to be in Florida,
Down at Palmer.
We have Daytona Beach, key lime pie, and the crab legs. I still like that stuff. But anyways, I feel like it was a series of events. I don't know if I shared this with you or not, but we had that Christian athlete meeting, and my buddy Mark, I always invited you to come out to, and you're still more than welcome to come out too. He came in and spoke, and he talked about Matthew 7, verses 13 to 14. It says, "Wide is the gate to destruction, and many will go through, and this way is easy, and narrow is the gate to eternal life, and this way is difficult, and few will enter." And I just remember thinking about that verse, and we had the team meeting at 6 o'clock in the morning the next morning during season, and And I just remember walking into my team meeting room, and it's like a theater, almost just like movie theater, like seating. And walk in and see my teammates, and they're just carrying on at 6 in the morning. I'm just like, guys, come on, it's 6 in the morning, like tired. But those verses then just stuck at me. And it's like the reality is, I love my brothers, I love my teammates, but the reality is that many are going to go through the wide gate of destruction. And so it wasn't necessarily a time where I was trying to, worry about my kicking or worry about the team as number one, but it was more worried about like sharing Christ with my teammates at that point before I left, because I was graduating that December, and so I only had a few months left. And so I felt like that's where God really gave me a heart for my teammates and a heart for athletes, and just a realization that idolization of sport is just inevitable. It happens, because if we don't start, then we're not going to be satisfied. We'll be second or third string. And so if we feel like we don't idolize our sport and make it our number one, then we're not going to start. We're not going to play. We're not going to fill that emptiness, or that empty void that we keep talking about. So in the face of these competitive forces, God is bringing an increased number of athletes into a relationship with Himself. So our mission with AIA is we want to build spiritual movements everywhere through the platform of sport. You've heard of Nelson Mandela?
Oh yeah.
I remember last summer, like, he passed away, and he was on ESPN, and I was like, why in the world is the president of South Africa, on ESPN? And they had his quotes on there talking about like the movie Invictus, how he said, like, in a quote, I'm not sure quote unquote, but he said he believed that the power sport was so powerful that it can unite people together. That's what he tried to do through soccer and rugby. And I started thinking about it. I was like, I think that's true. It's like we have the World Cup every 4 years. We have the Winter and Summer Olympics, every 2 years. And then we have the Super Bowl every year. And it's like what you see with the Super Bowl is we see people, we see Super Bowl parties where people that don't even watch football, they come together to a party to watch it. Have food, have fun, and community, and just have, time with each other. And so
that's true.
And so sport can bring people together, it's that powerful. So within Athletes in Action, these are the different ways we want to reach out to people for Christ. I'll be working with campus and pro ministry while being in the football department. Half of the NFL teams are AIA pro chaplains. And so, and then on campus, we have over 220 different campuses, which has grown 75 campuses in the past 2 years.
That's incredible.
So it's really quickly grown. And the sports team tours is what I'll mainly be doing. I'll be working with the football department mainly. We'll take 4 to 5 sports tours every single year, different parts of the world. Overall with AIA, we take around 30 to 35 each year. And they say that every year, over 100,000 people are exposed to the gospel just through our sport tours. And so that's like basketball, soccer, even down to cycling, like we have even cycling. But football we just started about 2 years ago. And so we do it through this model of winning, building, and sending people to Christ. We see a lot of ministries, or a lot of people who do like the introduction of the gospel, or just share Jesus and then they leave, and we want to do more than that. We don't want to just win people to Christ. We want to help build them in their faith and send them out. And so with our sport team tours, I like to look a little bit deeper into things, but like we went to Mexico back in May. Brought 15 coaches and players from around the country, different divisions, everything. And, while we're there for 10 days. And we teach them how to share their faith cross-culturally. So there's a language barrier, everything, cultural barrier. We teach them how to share their faith. They're taking leaps of faith that they normally wouldn't do here. And so even though it's a 10-day period, they come back, full of growth. They grow quite a bit while they're there. And so what we want to do is, I see them being built up when we go to these different countries or different mission trips. And what I really see the sending out, not necessarily sending them to different countries, but I see them sending out once they get back to their friends, back to their family, back to their coaches and teammates. Because, hey, I was able to share the gospel cross-culturally, to someone that doesn't even speak English, but how much easier does that make it to whenever they're talking to their teammates who they're around all the time?
Exactly, yeah.
So through that model, we want to win, build, and send people. And so, like I said, we want to do it through spiritual movements. Athletes in Action continues to be a pioneer, innovator, and servant leader in sports ministry. From university and professional athletic teams, a great missionary force is being raised up to reach the people for Christ. And so, these are different ministries through AIA. The campus pros and the sports teams is what I'll be mainly working with. Bengals, who did?
Yeah, there you go.
This is where I'll be moving actually this Sunday. That's our headquarters.
Okay.
And so I'll be there for now on in Xenia, and there's our sports complex.
Oh wow, it's beautiful.
So you see the football field over there, but I have a couple soccer fields and baseball and softball, and we're actually trying to build an indoor facility right now, which would be huge.
Oh, that would be.
And do you remember Darius Nichols for WVU, the basketball player?
Yeah.
That's
I
actually
do.
it's actually him right there.
Okay.
And this is something I actually think is pretty cool because Darius Nichols, he was WVU is a FCA, and I know the FCA chapel in there, but there's FCA, there's AIA, and we work together like hand in hand in a lot of different projects because it's the main goal is to reach people for Christ. It doesn't matter like anything else, but just the goal. And so it's really cool that like FCA and AIA, we work partners to like an FCA guy is like, okay, well, I want to send Darius Nichols on a basketball tour because he can grow in his faith, and I want to do the same thing with, if we have an AIA guy that can go on a weekend to Georgia for, FCA, we want to send them there. Just the main goal is for that they grow in their relationship with the Lord. And so, do you have any questions before I move on?
I don't.
No questions?
No.
All right, good deal. And so, so we invite others to partner with us to reach people for Christ. And like I've mentioned it to you before, like we invite ministry partners to tag along with us. And so it's not just the ministry and myself, but we invite people to join with us. And so Crew, we have no central funds that come through, just like other missionary organizations. Like even up all the way to the Crew president or the AIA president, they have to raise their own support like I do. And so support concerns solely with individuals and churches. And it's not just like a financial or prayerful commitment from you to me or my partners to me, but it's I want to work diligently, to touch lives of people for Jesus Christ. I want to regularly keep you up to date how God's blessing the ministry. One way I do that is I send out monthly prayer letters in the mail. If you would prefer email, I could do email. I also want to be financially faithful with the funds that have been given to me in my ministry, and also to share prayer concerns with one another. I feel like if I'm sending out a prayer letter once to you a month, you know how to pray for me, but it's not a one-way street. It's a two-way street. If you want me to pray for you and Julia, or if you want me to pray for you and your family, or just something that comes up, I would love to do that. And so that's just what it comes along with being a partner. And so I must find a team of partners who will give $100 a month or some other amount to support my ministry. And so as soon as I have this team I can report to my assignment, like I said, in Xenia, Ohio. And so this is the commitment. If your partner, your partner can make a difference, and your partnership can make a difference with reaching people for Christ. Would you make a monthly commitment of $100 a month or some other amount?
$100 a month. Let's talk about that.
But there's another vital way you can help. You see, like there is the financial part, but over 50% of my financial supporters are people I barely know or don't know at all, that I didn't know beforehand. And so we call them like referrals. And so someone that you just think would be encouraged or would believe in the ministry, or even if they aren't even financially able to give, I would love to share with them about the ministry if it even can be an encouragement. And so would you know anybody that might want to hear more about the ministry, and I can share with them like I did with you?
Problem is, we know a lot of the same people.
But yeah, I have a pen right here. We can name storm a little bit. Maybe
good.
Look through your phone a little bit at the contacts, but all right, yeah. So we're good. 20 minutes, perfect.
Dang.